Hello and welcome, or welcome back to my channel. My name's Jenny if you've never been here before, and today I will be showing you how I make my axolotls. I came up with this pattern recently and I have been making an axolotl army ever since. You can go totally crazy with colors. The possibilities are endless. So I'm going to let you know what materials you are going to need. You don't have to use the same materials that I'm using. You could even make these in acrylic or cotton if you wish. However, I really like the outcome of these and they are just an absolute blast to make. So let's look at what you'll need to get started. For this tutorial, you're going to need 2 colors of your chosen yarn, one for the main body of the axolotl and the other one for the gills and the tail. I will be using a really good chenille in the color Sweet and Charisma. You're also going to need a small amount of black, either acrylic or a cotton blend, just something that you can use for the facial details. You're going to need a crochet hook corresponding to the type of yarn you're using. I always use a 5mm or a H when I use this yarn. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, some Polyfil, and a pair of safety eyes. I will be using 10mm, but you can use whatever you like. You could even choose to embroider your eyes on if you wish. So let's get into our tutorial. All right, so let's get started. We will be starting with a magic ring. If you're not familiar with a magic ring, you can either slow this down and watch how I begin mine, or alternatively you could do the chain 2 method, where you chain 2 and work your stitches into the first stitch. There are also lots of tutorials here on YouTube. Round 1, we will be doing 6 single crochet into our magic ring. That's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Just going to use that tail to close the magic ring. Love this yarn. It never sheds. It's perfect for magic rings. Now, this pattern is worked in a spiral, so I'm just continue working around in each round. My next lot of stitches is just going into that very first one there. And for round 2, we are just working 6 increases, which is just 2 single crochets into every single stitch. So there's my first. I'm just going to mark that. Need to pop another single crochet into there. That's 2. Increase. 4. 6. 8, 10, and our last one, pop 2 in there, and that is going to give us 12 for the end of round 2. Okay, round 3 we'll be working a single crochet followed by an increase, and we should have a total of 18 single crochet at the end of this round. So that's 1, 3, single crochet, 4, 6, single crochet for 7, followed by an increase, that's 9, single crochet, 10, increase to 12, 13, increase to 15, single crochet followed by an increase in that last stitch, and we have 18 single crochet. This is as wide as the axolotl gets. Round 4 and 5 are just 18 single crochet a round, so 2 rounds for a total of 36 if you want to do it that way, but I will just start mine and I will come back at the end of round 5 and then we will continue with the pattern. Okay, just coming to the end of round 5 now. So this is what it should be looking like, starting to get that nice shape there. Our round 6 sees us add our first pair of legs or feet. Our first stitch we will be doing a popcorn stitch. I like to use this rather than the bobble stitch. I just really like the way that it helps the axolotl to sit up, I guess, or stand, lay. If you've never done a popcorn stitch before, all we are doing is placing 4 double crochets into this first stitch and then closing it off. So yarn over into the stitch and complete your double. So that's 1. Yarn over into the stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, that's 2, 3 and 4. Now I'm going to carefully take the hook out, making sure I don't lose my loop here. I'm going to insert the hook into that the top of the first double, pick up that little loop, pull it through, and that's going to close it off. That is my first stitch of the round, and that's his first little leg. So I need to make sure that my next stitch, I don't miss that next stitch. So I'm just going to go in there. I'll be doing 1 and then 2 single crochet. So 1, 2, followed by another popcorn stitch. So yarn over, go in, pull through, that's 1, yarn over into the stitch, pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, that's 2, 3, 1 more, 4, gently take out the hook, insert the hook into that first double, top of the first double, pop that little loop on the back on the hook, pull it through to close it off, and we are done. So that's my second popcorn, making sure I don't miss that next stitch. We are now doing 14 single crochet to finish the round. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14. So I'm just going to carefully take out, I don't normally use the stitch marker because I know that the popcorn is the very first stitch in that round. So we still have a stitch count of 18 after round 6. I've just marked that stitch and I'm going to pop in the eyes, because I like to wait until after round 6 is done, because I find that using the feet as a bit of a guide helps me to know where to place them. So I've got my 10mm eyes, just finding the backs. Okay, so I usually place my eyes between rounds 2 and 3, and I use the feet as a guide. So here's the middle, so that's round 1, round 2, sorry, I can't even count. So round 1, round 2, round 3. So it's going to go approximately here, and I just go up above the feet there. Now I roughly do the same with the opposite leg, and usually there ends up being approximately 3 stitches between each of the eyes, but I just kind of eyeball it really, and yeah, make sure that they're fairly evenly placed above the legs, but that looks pretty okay to me. So now I will pop the backs on, secure them, 1, and there's always one that doesn't want to participate, isn't there? Okay, there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. You may choose to embroider the mouth on here if you like, but I normally just wait until the end. So there we go. The eyes are in, and we're going to continue on with the pattern now. Just going to give myself enough yarn here to get me going for a little while. Now, round 7, we're just going to start adding a couple of decreases in here. So making sure I go into the top of the popcorn stitch, we're going to be doing 6 single crochet. So that's 1, mark my first stitch, 2, 3 into that top here of the popcorn, 4, 5 and 6. I'm now going to do a decrease. I don't bother doing invisible decreases. I just go into that next stitch, pull up a loop, into the next one again, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2. So there's my decrease. I'll be now doing another 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, followed by another decrease. So into the stitch and pull up a loop, into the following one, pull up a loop and pull through 2, and single crochet into the final 2 stitches. So our stitch count now should be 16, and that was the end of round 7. Round 8, we will just be doing 16 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. There'll be a couple more decreases in this next round before we add the second pair of legs. So round 9, we'll be doing 6 single crochet, 1, mark that stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do some decrease, 1 decrease. So in, pull up a loop, into that following stitch, pull up a loop and pull through 2. Followed by 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another decrease, in, pull up a loop, in, pull up a loop, and 2 single crochet. So at the end of round 9, we should have 14 single crochet. I might start adding a little bit of stuffing now. Okay. Tuck that tail in because that's been annoying me as well. Just continue to stuff as we go from here. That little part's annoying me, but I can fix that at the end. Okay. Now, round 10 will see us do the second and final pair of legs. Now, you might find that due to your tension or whether you yarn under, yarn over, whatever you may do, if you do it differently to me, you may find that you need to adjust the position of your popcorns, which means that, you know, so that your legs line up. That's okay. That's totally okay, as long as you have the same stitch count as I do. So yeah, follow my pattern, see how it goes. If you don't feel they line up, feel free to adjust them. As I said, you just need to just ensure that you have the same stitch count. So round 10 for me is 1 single crochet, mark that stitch, followed by a popcorn. So yarn over, doing 4 double crochets into the same stitch. That's 3 and 4. Gently take the hook out of the loop, insert into the first double, pop that loop back on and close the stitch, followed by 2 single crochet, making sure I don't miss that first one after the popcorn. 1 and 2. You can see that my legs are lining up quite nicely there. Do my second popcorn, 1 double, 2 double, 3 and 4. Take the hook out. Whoops, making sure I don't lose it. Insert into the first, pop the hook on, pop the loop on rather, and pull through and close it. Now that is going to be followed by 9 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. That was the end of round 10. Just need a little bit more yarn here. Okay, round 11 we will be doing 8 single crochet. That's the first one. 1, make sure you get into the top of that popcorn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to now do 2 decreases. So in, pull up a loop, into the following stitch, pull up a loop, and then pull through 2, and 1 more decrease, followed by 2 single crochet. That's taking, whoops, lost my stitch marker. That's taking our stitch count down to 12. Just going to pop a little bit more polyfill in here. I like to stuff these axolotls fairly firmly. I just feel that it helps to give them the best shape. So I really give it quite a bit. Okay. Rounds 12 and 13 are just 12 single crochet a round. So you can probably just count 24 stitches here, and then that's going to take you to the end of round 13. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 and 24. Okay, so that brings us to the end of round 13. Working some more decreases in this next round. So we'll begin with 4 single crochet. So 1, it's going to reintroduce my stitch marker. 1, 2, 3, 4, followed by a decrease, and then I'm going to repeat that again. So another 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. That brings our stitch count to 10. But before I continue, I'm just going to mark my stitch there, and I want to ensure that I stuff this guy quite well here before I get too much further. So as I mentioned, I do really like to stuff it firmly. Works very well with this really good chenille as well. Okay, I might go ahead and do my next round, which is round 15. This one is just 10 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Round 15 we'll be doing 3 single crochets and a decrease times by 2. So 1, 2, 3, a decrease, followed by another 3 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and another decrease, taking our stitch count down to 8. We're almost there. Continue to stuff your axolotl. It's surprising, they take more stuffing than you'd think. Still not a lot, but definitely more than you think. So you can kind of see how firm mine is. I'll pop even a little bit more in there, I think. Okay, just a few rounds to go now. Round 17 is 8 single crochet. I don't think I really need my stitch marker anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, got there, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's the end of round 17. Round 18, we'll be doing 2 single crochet followed by a decrease, and then repeating that. So that's 2 single crochet, 1 decrease, another 2 single crochet and a decrease, giving us a stitch count of 6. We only have one more round to go, so I'm just going to mark that briefly and just give it one more good lot of stuffing in here. Okay. Come on. There we go. Okay, you can see that that is nice and firm there, which is how I like it to be. Final round, we'll be doing 1 single crochet followed by a decrease, and then repeating that, leaving us with 4 stitches. So 1 single crochet, 1 decrease. Sorry if you can hear the eyes scratching on the table there. 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. I also hope it's not too shadowy. It is starting to get really dark here, so I hope the light is okay. Okay, so take your scissors and leave a little bit of a yarn tail there so that we can close that off. At this point, I do sometimes like to just pop one more little bit of polyfil in there so that it is extra firm. This part can be a little bit tricky because, especially, you know, if you're using a yarn with a decent thickness, there's not too much of a hole here to pop the polyfil in, but we'll get there. Sometimes actually I will take a smaller hook, and that's going, there we go, going to make it much easier. Why didn't I do that in the first place? Okay, there we go. That is very, very nice and firm. Now, did I forget to tell you you need a darning needle? You need a darning needle. You may have already worked that out. And then we are just going to close off his little tail here. We've got 4 stitches, so I just go into the, when I can find it, go into the front loop of each, pull it tight after each stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And usually I would knot it, but don't really need to here. So now I'm just going to go back in and feed the tail back through his body, pull it tight, come out again. That's going to be fine. Snip that off and then poke it back in. So there we have the body of the axolotl done, and now we will move on to adding the gills and the tail. Okay, so our gills and our tail will be surface crocheted on. So with my gills, I normally pop them in about round 4, and I normally count up approximately 3 stitches, and it usually works out to be just a little bit lower than the eye. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and yeah, up about 1, 2, 3. I've made so many that, yeah, I don't even usually have to count. I just kind of know where I like them to be. So I'm going to pop my hook in there and pull that accent colour through. Just get that tail out of the way. And so once I've done that, I am going to be chaining 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I am starting in that second chain from the hook here. I'm going to single crochet back. So 1. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to find the chain, but you'll get there. That's 2 and 3. I'm now going to go in and slip stitch into, and I'm essentially working under that round 4. So in, pull up a loop, and then pull through. Okay, there we go, pull through. So I've slip stitched into the next stitch. I'm going to repeat that. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Starting in the second chain from the hook, single crochet, and do that again 2 more times, working back down the chain, and 3. Go in and under that next stitch, pull through, and then pull through again, and repeat that 1 more time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. In the second chain from the hook, single crochet, and again single crochet, and single crochet. Go in and under the next stitch, pull up a loop, slip stitch through, leave the hook in, and just leave a little tail there. Gently pull that through, and then I'm going to leave that for the moment, but we will be going in and tying those off in a moment. But before we do that, we are just going to do the set of gills on the other side. So what I normally do here is count usually around 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'll go in to that in and under that next stitch, and that is where I'm going to begin my first gill. So go in, pull up a loop, just get that little tail out of the way. Repeat the same process. So we are chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the second loop from the hook, we single crochet into the next stitch, and then that very first chain, go in and under that in and under that next stitch, and slip stitch, repeat 1, 2, 3, 4. In the second chain from the hook, we are single crocheting 1, 2, and 3, and our final one, in and under, slip stitch, and do our final gill. 1, 2, 3, 4 chain. In the second chain from the hook, single crochet, single crochet, and one more, single crochet, and slip stitch into that next stitch. Do as I did before, leave the hook in, leave a short tail, gently pull it out now. And now we will go in and finish these off. So I'm just going to bring each of these 2 yarn tails back under here, tie them off, and then stick them back in. So I'm just going to go straight into where I finished here, go in, bring it back under. It doesn't really matter where. I normally just go behind, kind of in about the middle. Just pull it tight, but not too tight. Going to do the same with this little end here. Not that it's very long, but go back in here. Bring it up into the same spot. Gently tie it off. Snip that there, and then poke that back inside. There we go. Repeat the process on the other side. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we will begin with the tail. Okay, so there we have our gills done. We will give him a little mouth in just a moment, but before we do that, we're going to do the tail accent. So I flip mine over and I start underneath. Again, we'll be surface crocheting this on. There's not real, mine are probably not 100% the same every single time, but I ultimately follow the same process roughly. So I flip it over and I start approximately 4 to 5 rows back, and I use the legs as a bit of a gauge, and I pop my hook in, trying to ensure that it's about halfway between the feet there. So I'm just going to pull that orange through, tuck that tail out of the way. I will just chain one there, and now I'm literally just going to be surface crocheting, like single crochet along here, around the tail and over. Again, there's no real rhyme or reason. I just trying to make sure that I stay, in the middle. I just stick my hook in, pull up a loop, do my single crochet. Do the same thing all the way along, trying to make sure that I stay fairly close to the middle. When you get to the end, obviously try and ensure that you don't, muck up the closure of your of the round there. But again, I just always try and flip it over, make sure I'm in the middle as much as possible. Sometimes you really got to wriggle it a little bit. There we go. So far, so good. And I do also like to sometimes just pop my little darning needle in. I'm probably going to finish it about here. So I just kind of stick that in. So that's just a visual reminder for me as to around about where the middle is, so I don't get off track. So let's just continue here. It's, you can't even explain where you're going. You're just going under a group of stitches, really. There's no stitch count. It's just whatever you think looks good. So trying to make sure that I'm heading up towards that darning needle. I hope you can see this okay. in and under. Usually I'm working up to approximately round 7 or 8, but to be honest, I don't even really count. I just try and make sure that I've gone further along the top than I have at the bottom, and you can see here that I have. So I'll take that out now, and I might just give it one more for good measure. Leave my hook in. Little bit of a yarn tail, gently pull it out, and I'm just going to, I'm quite happy with that one. I'm just going to thread that onto my darning needle, and I normally just go in and come out back up where I started, and that's usually a pretty good place to tie it off and weave in my ends. So tie it off, and then sometimes I do, rather than cut it off and stick it there, sometimes I will just, especially if I've got enough yarn on here, I will just thread that one down, do the same with the other side, get rid of him. There we go. Chop it off. Stick them back inside. Gee, I have really stuffed this one firmly, which I'm okay with. But there we go. I will now just grab a little bit of black cotton here. Just made a little knot there, haven't I? I need a very small amount. I think I'll give this one not a smile. I think I'll just give him a mouth that just goes straight across. You can do as you please. You don't have to give it a mouth. I just think it looks kind of cute. So just starting anywhere at the bottom there, and wherever you choose to do it. I'm going to come out and then just re-enter, going along as straight as possible. You watch me muck this up. Oh, it doesn't seem, I haven't chosen a very good spot there, because I feel like wherever I go, it's not going to be straight, but that's okay. We can live with that. Coming back out. This is also not my first choice of needle, by the way. There we go. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Now we are just going to gently tie it off, because I don't want to pull that too tight. Double knot. Snip that off and push it back in. And there you have it. Your own little axolotl. I really, really enjoy making these guys. As I said, the colour possibilities are honestly endless. You could choose to use a blanket yarn if you like. They're obviously just going to turn out bigger, but I really hope that you did enjoy this tutorial. Please share them with me if you make them. I'd love to see your creations. At this point in time, there isn't a PDF. However, hopefully in the very near future, there may be one if that is what you prefer. But thank you for watching this tutorial. I do have a few others on my channel if you would like to check them out, and hopefully many more in the future. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give it a like and maybe leave me a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye for now.